After last week's video, I've been thinking a little bit more about what it means to create responsibly. Now, I think creating as an act in and of itself, it's not a bad thing to do. But there is something to be said about the whole process if creative acts ends up becoming a destructive process. And if you haven't guessed by now, this video is about AI. Now, I'll be the first person to say that I don't like how AI is being used right now because it frustrates me to no end. And the one thing that really unnerves me about AI usage is that it taps into this innate human tendency to focus on negatives. For example, if you're looking at things that are provided to you by the algorithm, you are more likely to be looking at things that make you angrier and angrier rather than happier and happier. And that's a little bit of a problem because that makes people angry. So there's that old saying about you are what you eat. I think we can extend it further to you are what you consume. And so if you're consuming things that are making you angry all the time, you are likely going to just become that angry ball of mess. And to be honest, I don't think that's what humanity should be going towards. But it certainly seems like that's the direction it's headed towards now, thanks to AI and the algorithm. So that's a little bit unnerving, it's a little bit scary, and honestly, it's very easy to lose hope in all of that. But that is where responsible creation comes in. I think there are a few rules to responsibly creating something. For example, the number one rule probably is don't plagiarize, don't steal things. And that's a little bit weird coming from the person that is really just copying Vlogbrothers' style of editing. But, you know, I like to think of this as me trying to find my own style, getting to that place, rather than, oh, this is gonna be my identity entirely. And that is another thing. Creation, I think, kind of imposes a part of our soul into the created product, which means that if somebody were to steal that created product and use it in their own work, then not only are they stealing, which may be like a copyrighted idea, but they're also stealing a part of their soul. And in fact, I think it's not very easy for souls to infuse in this kind of creative act. I think unless both parties are involved in the actual act of creation, once you steal something that has another person's soul in it, it's hard to replace that soul with yours. So that's a rule, I guess. Don't plagiarize. I think it's a fairly common rule, but the other thing is I think we should try to make our act of creation not as destructive. Now, this is not really talking about performance art that would, destruction is the main goal of that art, that is the statement that it is making about the world. What I'm talking about is that to the best of our knowledge, our understanding, and our intention, I think creative acts should not be destructive. What do I mean by that? Well, let's look at cloud computing. That's been a big topic because it causes a lot of environmental concerns, and the act of creating something via ChatGPT or any kind of artificial intelligence service that allows you to generate images or even videos, that's going to cost energy, and that energy is not cheap, it's not free, and definitely not clean. So the act of creation, I think, should not be destructive. And even going beyond AI, let's say we are trying to create something as an art form, and if that art form can cause meaningful injury on a particular group of people or whatever, I don't think that's a good art. I don't think that's a responsible creation. And so, yeah, I mean, the birth of nation, probably not a good, responsible act of creation. And I think it also takes away from your own capability as an artist as well. If you're choosing to use these tools that can be destructive to create something, then you are allowing yourself to outsource your own abilities to a tool, a machinery that's not going to help you become a better artist. It's going to help you create product. And those two are different things. Art and product are two different things. Because if I really wanted to, I could probably just pump out these videos once per day, like a good algorithmically inclined person would do. But I am not that person. I don't want to be creating product. I want to be creating art. And if I really wanted to, I could just take 4 chords that I really like and then loop them and then create any song ever. Same thing for drawing. I would rather take the time to learn how to draw, how to become a better artist, then have something make something for me. And that's not to say I don't think that's a commentary on, outsourcing artwork from other people who are better at art than you. I think that's a perfectly valid way of going about it, but you also should not and cannot, and usually people don't say that that is their work. Yeah, I think there's just a lot more rules to creating responsibly, but I think in the end, it's really just about what intentions are you having with producing this piece of art, and what's the purpose of that creation. See, I think when we create to be validated, then things reflect less on ourselves and more on the people that surrounds us. And while that may be a way to start creating, it's not going to be your creation in the end, not solely. And I think creating for validation usually ends to disappointment. It usually lacks self-satisfaction because when you're done with creating something, you'll feel a bit of relief rather than some kind of enjoyment out of the process of creation. All that is to say, I think this is kind of working for me. It is being a good outlet for me to just be able to create what I want to create. But honestly, I think it really does help for me to just be able to talk about these kinds of thought processes, about creative processes, and hopefully maybe I'll talk a little bit about, seeking validation from other people as well in a future video or something. With that, I think it's been a long enough recording, so I think I'll end it there. This, by the way, this is just marks from giving platelets. So if you're able, do that. I don't know how to end this thing. Bye.